Folks, welcome back to Trevino's Black Glove Confidential, the Brisket Series, Part 2, Cooking and Serving. We're going to show you how to take a Black Angus brisket and turn it into this on your backyard pellet smoker. It's going to be a long one, but stick with us and we'll show you all our tips and tricks. Hey folks, welcome back to Trevinos Black Glove Confidential, the Brisket Series, Episode 2. We are going to cook this bad boy today. A lot less supplies on this time around, right? Because we are just cooking. This was seasoned, it was trimmed, it was prepped yesterday, left in the fridge uncovered. You can see all that salt absorbed into our meat. You can see that color from the paprika's already colored it up pretty good, and the pepper is nice and tacky on there. I left it out. It has been on this counter for about an hour and a half, coming up to room temperature, and then we're going to put it on the pit. Supplies you're going to need are your trimmed and seasoned brisket, our color building spritz, some gloves just for food safety, aluminum foil, we're going to boat this guy a little later, and a cutting board. Let's talk about cook times. So what we're going to do here that's a little different than the rib video is this is going to be a longer cook for starters. So on the Gen 2 Traeger, guys, we're going to do our normal 3 hours at 205 Super Smoke. If you've got a Gen 1 controller, or if you've got a Rectech or a Pit Boss or whatever different type of smoker that doesn't have temperature and Super Smoke settings, set yours at Super Smoke here. And we're going to do that for 3 hours. Okay. Hour 4 on this Gen 2 Traeger, we're going to bump it up to 225 in Super Smoke. Now, this is where if you've got the older controller style or you don't have that option, you're just going to bump it up to 225. And that's going to be 1 hour. Okay. Hour 5, you're going to bump up to 245. And we're going to hold that for an hour. And so on and so forth. Hour 6, hour 7, hour 8, we're going to get it up to about 275. And then we're going to hold there. We're hoping by hour 8 or hour 9, this guy's going to be at about 175 internal temp and have broken through the stall. Never works the way we want it to, so be prepared for that. But when it does, we're going to foil boat it, and we're going to bump our temp up to 285 and carry that into 192 degrees. And then I will show you what we're going to do to pull it out. This is an overnight brisket, so it's going to come out and get wrapped at the warm setting, which is 170, and stay overnight. And that's where it's going to carry over and finish cooking. So I know it seems like a lot, but as we go through this thing, you'll kind of realize it's pretty cut and dry, and you'll get used to it. Let's get this guy in the pit. All right, it is that time. So we're going to take this guy, we're going to put her on this pit like we talked about it, 205 and Super Smoke. I'm going to put a picture up here because I know our angle's kind of weird today, but you've got your 2 water pans in the bottom of the pit. We're going to put this directly above them, like so. We're going to compress it, watching out with our bark the whole time, and we're going to close her up. What we're going to do a little different on this cook, folks, is that we are going to spritz this every hour for the first 3 hours of Super Smoke, and actually on the 4th hour too. So for the first 4 hours, we're going to spritz it pretty heavily. Once we get into the cooking mode, brisket has enough juice and grease that's going to be rendering out, fat that's going to be rendering out on it, and we actually want to dry it out and get it through the stall as quick as possible. So from that point forward, we're not going to spritz anymore. We're going to hope our color's been built and continue to build over the course of a 12-hour cook. So you remember our ribs, we spritzed a lot, but we only had about 6 or 7, 8 hours, right? Here we've got 12 to 14 hours to build color. So let's go ahead and get started with hour 1, and we'll see you guys in an hour. Okay guys, I wasn't very happy with that angle y'all had on the first shot, so I'm going to go ahead and show you what we were doing when we load the pit. So we're at 205 in Super Smoke. We're going to take our brisket and we're going to put it on here, and we're going to push the sides up and compress it and set it. It's going to be directly on top of these 2 water pans. We've got a different angle today, but I think it's good because it's gonna allow you guys to see up close what we're doing on the pit. So this is gonna sit for an hour. We'll come back and spritz it. Hey y'all, we're 1 hour into this cook right now. Really nothing much to see here. We're gonna pop the lid, take a look at the brisket. Gonna look around, everything looks good. It's starting to dry out. You're not gonna see any edging or burnt spots. And we're gonna spritz pretty vigorously. Again, what we're doing is we're trying to get this color on there. That's all. We're gonna shut her up, let it go for another hour. Smoke setting. We're gonna crack the lid, take a look. She looks good. This little crack up here, the bark, or in the fat layer, that's not a big deal. Just gonna spritz heavily again. Like we talked about, it's getting heavy color on it. And that's it. We're gonna let it finish this 3rd hour super smoke, and then we're gonna bump it up. See you guys in an hour. All right, folks, we just wrapped up hour 3 to 4. We are at 225 in super smoke, or you guys with the Gen 1 models, or Rectex, or Pit Bosses, or whatnot, y'all are at 225 right now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open her up. She's looking good. She's got some good color on her. Still hard as a rock, you know. Got that little split right there. That's a bummer, but won't be a big deal. I'm gonna spritz all along this side. This will be my last spritz, so I'm gonna make it nice and heavy. And then what I'm gonna do, since we're jacking the heat up, I'm gonna take this guy carefully. I'm gonna flip him around. And I'm gonna spritz the front, around the edges, and over the top, just like that. So now you can see we've got a good base coat of color. I like it. We're about to switch to a cooking mode. It's a little shiny from the spritz. But what we're gonna see is this guy's gonna dry out, get into the stall, start sweating, and get shiny again, and get through the stall, dry back out on the skin again, and that's when we're gonna wrap it. So our job from this point forward is to get this guy through the stall as quickly as possible without burning any edges around the back and losing any servable meat. So we're gonna do that with a combination of spritzing instead of the whole thing now. Now we're just gonna hit corners that look like they're drying out a little bit. And if it gets bad enough, if this starts to lift and get hard, we'll put a little piece of foil right here to protect it until it's time for the boat. Other than that, I'm bumping mine up to 245. If you've got a Gen 1, bump yours up to 250. That'll be your next 2 hours. If you've got another type of pit that allows 245, we're gonna go 245 for an hour, and then we're gonna bump to 255 after that. We'll see you guys in an hour. Here's our adjustment. All right, see y'all in just a few. All right, these are gonna be the couple shots that get a little mundane because we're just gonna check them every hour. We're gonna look for edging, and we're gonna see if anything is off. You notice I forgot my gloves. Looks great. It's getting some good color on there. It's starting to darken up. I like it. I don't see any edging, anything around the sides. I don't see anything that's starting to look crispy or crunchy. I'm not gonna spritz on this one. I'm just gonna keep it rolling. I'm gonna bump my temp to 255. Those of you that were at 250 with your Gen 1 controller, keep it at 250 for another hour. Everybody else, bump it up to 240, 255. And we'll see you guys in an hour. Okay. We are currently sitting at 255 temp. We are gonna open this guy up. This is the 2nd hour of 250 for you Gen 1 guys and gals, and analog controller folks. So we are going to open this up. We're gonna check the brisket. I'm gonna show you guys where I check for temp. I know I don't check temp often, and hopefully as you guys progress and we learn together, it's something you'll do less often. But for now, while people are curious and wanting to know, I'm gonna kind of explain a couple things because I'm thinking we're gonna start seeing some color and a few signs where we're starting to actually cook. Let's go ahead and get her open. Okay, so we can see we got a good, nice darkness coming through. See how I told you guys it's gonna start getting shiny. See, it's starting to sweat right over there. But I feel nothing crunchy, nothing crispy around these edges. So I'm gonna leave it alone for another hour. I'm not gonna spritz it here, but I'm probably gonna spritz it and rotate it on the next open. You can see this is starting to lift up right here. So I don't want that to burn. So after an hour, I'm probably gonna cover that edge with foil. Temperature checking. This is your point, this is your flat. This part's gonna get hotter quicker because there's more fat. This part's gonna cook slower. This part right in the middle underneath, that's gonna be the last part to cook. That's where we're gonna check our temp today. Taking my thermopin, if you go right there, not in this fat area, not in the bottom, but right in this meat area right here, right in the middle of the point in the flat, I'm gonna stick it right there. And I'm at 156, which is kind of where I expect it to be. We're gonna need to break through another 20 degrees. That's gonna take the next couple hours, if not longer, depending on how the stall goes. So for those of you wanting to check, go ahead and check, see where you're at. This is where we should be at. If you're a little above or beyond that or below it, no big deal. I'm gonna close this right here. I'm gonna bump my temp to 265 now. Why am I doing that? Because nothing looked burnt. Let's open her back up. Nothing looked burnt, nothing looked edgy. Tells me I can get away with more temperature. I like it plump. I like that it's plumping, it's starting to drip and sweat. I want to bust it through the stall as quick as possible. So all that stuff's sweating out. I want to retain as much as possible while it does that. Retain as much internal juice. We're gonna check it in an hour and we'll see you guys then. Okay, you are gonna notice some audio differences on this recording, this part of it, because the fancy microphones we've got are dead. So I am actually re-recording this so that I can walk you through the steps with some audio. We are at hour 5, 6, 7. It'll be up there on a chart. We're sitting here at 265, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this guy up. What we talked about is it's looking good. You've got some great color on there. See this moisture we talked about right on this edge? It's starting to sweat. That's a sign you're going through the stall. This is where you would not wrap your brisket. I know a lot of people start to see the color, they get excited, you want to push it through. We got a ways to go. 155, 160, 162, another 10, 15 degrees, 170, 175, 180. We'll start drying this thing out. We'll get a lot of this moisture off, that's what we want. Here, looks a little bit like that's gonna burn on me, especially I'm gonna ramp temp up right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip this around like such, okay? This is what I made earlier when we lost audio. I'm gonna go ahead and do it again for you guys, just for demonstration purposes. Take a sheet of foil, fold it over, fold it over again. Kind of something along these lines. Just tuck it under, watching your bark, and just kind of hug it up against the outer edge of your brisket, just like that. And all we're doing is kind of protecting that, just like a bumper. And I'm going to spritz back here on the edges, and that's all I'm going to do. If you start to see this get hard and crunchy, we can put another piece of foil back here. It may, but we'll keep an eye on it while we're cooking. We're going to leave this top alone because it's going to continue to sweat, and we want that to sweat, dry back up so we can put in a foil button finish. So I think that's about it. We're going to about the 275. If you're on a Gen 1 and you don't have that option, just stick at 250, you'll be fine, but I think they do have a 275. Let's go to 275. Let's try to bust this thing through the stall and see if we can get this thing wrapped in the next hour to 2 hours. See y'all then. All right, I'm thinking this is hour 8. So we'll again put the graphic up so we'll know where we are in the cook. We're gonna open it up, we're gonna check any edges, we're gonna look for edging, which is crispy edges. We're gonna check the temp on the inside, give you guys a reference point. We're probably gonna go a little deeper on this one to make sure that we're catching a good temp on the inside. We're looking for 175 to 180, ideally like 177. I'm about out of spritz, so I may just jiggle the bottle around, but I won't need much left after this anyway. Okay, so this is kind of something I want y'all to see. The first thing I notice, see this bubbling? Like it's boiling almost, that fat's rendering. That's too hot. So that's my first telltale sign that 275, while we had a scheduled cook to get to 275, it's probably a bit much. So what I'm gonna do from this point forward, I'm gonna drop my temp to 265, which is our previous zone. And I'm gonna finish cooking at that until we get this thing in a boat. And I'm gonna hit these edges just to make sure I didn't burn anything. And I didn't. I mean, everything looks good. That's more of a preventative step. If you've got a bunch of pulling right here, there's really not enough on this brisket, but you can lift it up. And if you notice the bottom, it's not burnt at all. And that's where these water pans come in. So again, we're good. Just spritzing the edges. Now let's check our temp. Same, right in the middle, in this meat, not in this fat area. We're gonna go right in here and kind of jabber in pretty good. All right, I got 171. I've still got a little shine on here. I don't have any burn area. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this for the next hour to about 175 to 180, lowering my temp to 265 so I don't burn anything. And then we're gonna put this in a foil boat. Come back in just a minute, I'll show you how to get that foil ready. Hello, hello. Okay, this is now 8:30, so we are 9.5 hours in. I know we were supposed to check in an hour, but the boys' football practice ran long. That's kind of the great thing about a Traeger, right? Is you can leave when you need to. So we're a little past where we wanted to be, but we're gonna check it. And man, look at that. That looks great. Nice and black. You see what I'm talking about? Everything dried back up and it's nice and pillowy, right? That brisket right there is ready to wrap. Nothing shiny, nice and jiggly. We're about home free. I'm gonna check it right here in the middle, right in the meat side. I got 184. That's because I was 30 minutes late. You get here an hour into it, you're gonna be about 178, 175. It's exactly where you wanna be. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this on a pan. Woo! I'm gonna see if we can get a good little close up there. That is what a brisket looks like when it is ready to wrap. Got a little bit of stuff right there, but for those nice and pillowy, you see that? Nothing too crunchy around the edges. We're gonna take this inside and show you guys how we do the foil boat, and we're gonna crank this thing up, get it up to about 192, 195 internal, and then we're done. Well, it goes into the oven overnight. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna set this up, and I'm gonna put it at, let's do 280. I'm gonna go to 280, and I'm gonna cook that last 30 minutes to an hour at 280, crisp up this top, dry it out really good before we pull it. See y'all in a second, show you how to boat this. All right, guys, so here we are. We are at 8:30. We are 9.5 hours in. We've got nice pillowy fat, nice and jiggly. We're at about 185 internal temp and dropping fast. So this has got to be kind of a quick process. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take 2 sheets of foil, about twice the length of that brisket, and we're gonna put this thing in a foil boat. We're gonna pop it right back on the pit. See, got about 1, 2. Doesn't have to be perfect. We'll do one more sheet. Just like so. And kind of offset it a little bit. Now we're gonna take our brisket, drop it like it's hot. Dad joke. Now I lift up this backside, and then I'm gonna fold it away from me, okay? So I'm lifting and I'm rolling away from me, okay? And when it crumples up like this, I'm gonna rotate it and repeat the same steps, folding away from me. I'm creating a nice boat. What I want is I don't want to be over the top in any way, shape, or form where I ruin the top bark, but I do want to be all up on the sides, all up in the videos. I want to be all up on the sides like this so that I'm not blasting this when we put it back in. This is going to go back in at 280 on the pit. I'm thinking about 30 minutes. We're going to be 192 to 194. Then we're going to pull it, put it in a full foil wrap immediately. Okay, it is 9:45. We checked it last at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, sorry. And it is now 8:45. So it's been 45 minutes since we checked on it. I went and took a peek, and it is done and ready to go. It is dark outside now, so I don't really have the lighting set up to go out there and show you guys on the pit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring the brisket in here, and we're gonna do the next step. So I do stuff a little different. It's good for the backyard. Probably not great if you run a restaurant just from product consumption. I'm gonna take 2 sheets of foil right here. Same deal, 2 briskets worth of length. And I am going to, we've got a big counter now. Sweet, we'll do it this way. I'm gonna wrap this brisket as soon as I get it out of the pit and out of the boat, as hot and quick as I can. And then I'm gonna go ahead and either, you got a couple options. If you got an electric oven at home, go ahead and set that at warm, which should be 170. You're gonna leave it in there overnight. Make sure you put a pan to catch the grease that'll drip out of it. If you've got an air fryer, you can set that at warm, put it in the air fryer, same deal. Make sure you've got something like the pan in there that'll keep the grease in there. The third option, which is what I'm gonna do tonight so we don't warm the house up, I'm gonna put the Traeger on warm and I'm gonna leave it in there overnight. And that way anything that drips out will drip into those grease pans, and in the morning I'll take it out. So I'm gonna leave it there at about 170, 180 for 10 to 12 hours. What's gonna happen is we're pulling at 192 to 195. It's not done yet. But by wrapping quickly and putting directly into a 170-degree holding cabinet, oven, whatever, it's gonna carry up to that 202, 203, but it's gonna do it gently. And that's just gonna give it a great finish. I've just had some really great results doing it this way. It's like I tell everybody, it's not so much the cook as it is the carryover and the finish. Everybody's got their own method of doing it. This just happens to be mine for the house. So let me go get that brisket. I'll come temp it. I'll show you what we're looking at, and we'll get it wrapped up. Stay tight. All right, here she is. I am kind of excited. So this is probably one of the better briskets I've done on this Traeger. I don't know if you can see it. Sarah, can you see on this one? Well, I'm trying to get a clue. Okay, so you can see it right there. You got nice pillowy fat on the top. You're good. You got great edges. You had all this protected, so it softened up a little bit. So you've got a little grease down there, but not too much. If I would have boated a lot earlier, I would have had to turn it, and that's another tip. If you do boat it too early and it fills up with grease, like a lot of grease up on the sides, just tip it out and pour it. Somewhere safe where it won't start a fire, and then just know next time that you put it in the boat just a smidge too early. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take this, because we gotta be quick. I'm gonna pull this out like so. You guys see we got a little grease in there, but not bad. Put a little bit of this in the bottom. Say hi to Palmer. I'm gonna go ahead and put this guy right here in the middle. I'm gonna take my 2 pieces of foil. Well, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna take my 2 pieces of foil right here, and I'm gonna wrap up and over. And I want it to tuck all the way down. So I'm gonna scooch her back just a little bit. There we go. I'm gonna tuck her just like that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift this side, and I'm gonna kind of fold it in, a little paper airplane. Lift this side right there, fold it in, just like that. Pull tight, pull in. Now I'm gonna take my fingers and run a line for a crease. Makes it to fold over a lot easier, okay? I'm gonna take this finger and go right here, make another crease. That's gonna let me fold it over a lot easier, okay? I'm crumpling around the sides right here, going down, And I'm going 1. Now I'm going to pull back. This is a lot, but you'll get a hang of it. I'm going to pull back, and then I'm going to guess that that's going to stop about right there. See what I'm saying? Like the thickness. So that's where I'm going to fold over. Doesn't have to be perfect, and you can always readjust it. And boom. So what I'm going to do, I'm slacking over here. I'm going to shoot it right in the side, and there we go. We've got 196, 195. So I'm going to take this just like so, pop her just like so. Sorry if you weren't able to get a good view on that temperature shot. And now this is either going to go over a catch pan and into your oven on warm, into your air fryer oven on warm, or in your Traeger on keep warm. Make sure you let the Traeger cool down. Like I've had the lid open this whole time. So I'm gonna put it on there. We're gonna let it sit for 10 to 12 hours, and then we'll check on this tomorrow, and we'll get some slicing. Also, remember, before you serve it, if you're done watching this video and you move on, cool with that. But, well, 1, like and subscribe. 2, before you serve it, it needs to sit on the counter for 2 hours. You don't want to serve a brisket anywhere near 170 degrees. 125, 130 is probably your ideal serving temp. I'm gonna save in 120, okay? So we'll see y'all guys in the morning. Have a great night. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Technically good afternoon. It is 11 o'clock here, and we've had this on keep warm all night. I promise I'm not running a Traeger ad here, but this functionality is flipping awesome. So it held at 165 all night. I didn't have to keep my oven rolling, and the pellet usage was minimal. I mean, not even like 2 scoops of pellets for overnight. So I will definitely be keeping all my overnight meats in here. Remember, we pulled it 193, 195. We wrapped it in foil. We put it back in here at 165, held it overnight, and there she is, looking all pretty. So what we're gonna do, 12 hours is fine, by the way. I just had a work call that ran a little long, and we had to get squared up on. So this stayed on a little longer than I wanted to. But what we're gonna do here is we're gonna check it and make sure that it's nice and pliable. So I'm gonna take it, look at that, right on the sides, mushy, mushy. Now, I'm not gonna squeeze and do all that because I don't wanna mess my bark up on the top. But the biggest thing for me is this side. Like, this feels like Jell-O all the way around, which tells me that this thing's gonna be great. Now, if I cut into this right now, juice is gonna go everywhere. You're not gonna have that congealed fat on the inside. You're not gonna be able to get those good money shots. So what this tells me now is this is ready. If you wanna check it also for this, I'm gonna stab it right in the side. Boom. It's at 170, and that thing rocks right in and out. No resistance at all. We are ready to rock. And that is the last part to cook. So if this part's done and it slides right in and right out, that means this is done and this is done. So now I am gonna turn this pit off like so, let it go through its cool down procedure. And I'm gonna leave this brisket out here for about an hour and let it start cooling itself down. And then I'll take it inside. When this is in this area, which is 170 on the nose, when that is down to about 125, we're gonna slice it up and open her up and see what she looks like. Excited. See you guys in a little bit. All right. So we let that sit on the pit for about, I don't know, what's it been? Let's see, 2 hours, give or take. And we're hoping it's gonna be about 125 to 130. So we're gonna go in here. I don't know if you can see that on there. We're at 133. That's a perfect serving temp for us. So we're gonna reveal this bad boy and see what she looks like. So we got our foil. We're gonna open her up. Nice and easy. We're gonna lift from the bottom right here. That. Those little folds we made, we're gonna pop those out. Trying to not mess our bark up. Oh, she looks good. We're gonna get that. We're gonna set it down just like that. You can see we got some good wobble right there in the point. Flat's looking nice. We got no burnt edges whatsoever. We got a great bark, nice toppy pillowy fat. If there was a lot of tallow or grease in there, you can kind of pour it on top like that, but not really necessary. This thing's looking pretty juicy as it is. So that is our brisket, and we are super happy with it. This thing went on yesterday at 11:30 and came off at 9:45, so that's 10 hours and 15 minutes. Is that correct? It's 11 hours and 15 minutes. Yeah, we'll put it on the screen. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come back in just a second and show you guys how to slice this thing. All right, so here we are. We've got our brisket unveiled. She's looking great. We've got her on our red cutting board. We have our Dexter P94804 Basics. It's just a serrated bread knife. I've noticed a lot of y'all have questions and issues with trimming, and not really trimming, sorry, cutting and slicing a brisket for service. So here's what we do at the restaurants, and this is my recommendation for you to do at home, because if you put all that work into something, you want it to look great when you serve it. So let's go through a quick little brisket anatomy. This part right here, this thinner part, this is your flat. This is your lean meat, right? This chunky part with the nice wobbly, with the wobble, that's your point, okay? So honestly, we're just gonna cut right here in the middle of the two, and all these slices are gonna go this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Then we're gonna flip her over and we're gonna come across this way. Where that decal was on the bottom that we cut, which is right down here, that little chunky of fat. See, there's nothing down there, but over here you got this little fat chunk. See that right there? We're gonna cut that out, and that's gonna be our burn-in slice. So we'll do it one more time from the different angle. Flat, point, slice, 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 slice. Cut out decal fat, which I'm going to show you how to do. Burn in slice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this corner slice typically goes in the chop bucket just because there's a lot of fat around there, but you can slice it off and serve it, whatever you want to do. So let's see what she looks like. So right here, right as this flat comes to an end, and you're getting right to where we trim that mohawk, we're going to take our burst slice. Boom, boom, boom. This is where we're going to get that cross section. You can look at that. She's nice and juicy. I'm not squeezing, but that is pretty. We got our cross section right over there. She's got our juices running out. She's looking nice. Oh, wow. Yeah, that looks good. She's coming out right that way. Now we're going to take this flat piece. So see, it's still together, right? And we're going to take the flat and we're going to slice, 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 and lay them down over each other. Because of the way I like to cut, I'm just going to flip it around. We're going to go about, what do they say, like a number 2 pencil? About right there. And what I just did, tearing that bark off, is what you don't want to do. So kind of dig into your knife, nice and easy. Don't force it. There we go. Going to come in nice and easy. One thing to note too when you're cutting, as you get towards the bottom, flare your knife away, because otherwise you tend to cut in and end up with big thick slices on the bottom. So I'm kind of pointing it that way. We're going this way. There we are. We're going this way. And as you can tell, we covered that front side with foil, which saved this part right here and is allowing us to slice this brisket all the way to the end, which is awesome. We're going to take that end piece right there, put it right there in the corner. Going to flare our sides out. I'm going to pick this up and kind of show it to y'all. Oh, look at that, nice. Holds on its own weight. Kind of folds over. There's a little break up there. That's not bad. So, not bad. Right on the edge of over, right on the edge of done, but nice and juicy. You can see I didn't shine it up. This is just grease coming out of it on its own. What I'm going to do is the important part, which is take a bite. Oh. See how easily that comes apart and how juicy that is. Take another slice for you guys. Gotta fold over. It does fall apart. But look at that. That's perfect. It holds on its own weight, but it does come apart nice and easy. And it's super moist. Surprisingly too, the flavor on this is phenomenal. So using those oak and pecan pellets, I feel really, really worked out. And you got a little good smoke ring there on the bottom, nothing too crazy. But remember, I put this on close to room temp. So the warmer you put a brisket on the in the smoker, there we go right there, the less smoke ring you're gonna have. Part two, see this little chunk of fat right there? I'm gonna cut that out, just like that. See, came with a little meat, but now you see I end up with this little gap right there. That's gonna be my burn end. So I'm gonna go in nice and easy, just like that. Oh yeah. We're gonna move this out of the way. You can see right there, got a perfect little fat cap. It's got a good little yellow color to it. I love that. Could be more of a 1/2 inch than a 1/4 inch. Now we're gonna take this. Now, I'm gonna go slow for you guys. Where we cut this off, now that goes down, and that's gonna get sliced that way. These are your burn ends. Hey, Sarah, you got a second? These are your burn ends. So we're gonna put these guys. I just kind of want you to try that. It's like literally one of the, right? So now we're gonna take this next slice and these next couple, oh here, let's show you that. Look at that, man. That is flipping awesome. I hope you can see this. I don't really have any thing to tell me that y'all can, but hopefully you can see that right there. Look at those fat striations. Look at that point. So now we're gonna take this slice right here. Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. And that's just a nice little prime brisket from your grocery store. We're gonna go in right here too. Same deal, kind of flanging out towards the bottom to keep the cut together. Gonna stack that right there. And now if you look at that, oh man, if you look at this cross section, sorry guys, I get excited about brisket. That is sexy, man. And we did it on our pellet in less than 12 hours, which is really, really awesome. So I'm taking these slices just like that. And so, see, that's a bad pull by me. Got a little rough with the knife. So when it gets like that, I'm just gonna kind of work my way through and then get to slicing. There we go. Just like that. And so as we get towards the end of this, you can get a little thicker. And you're gonna start to get that fat on the edge. Ooh, yum. There we go. So, I mean, I'm happy with this. My slicing is admittedly rusty, but this burn end I'm about to eat, like, look at that. That's just, And I'm telling you, I spent years cooking on offsets. And I can't say that there's one difference or the other. I got to take my kid to football and have all kinds of fun. So I'm gonna move all this stuff out of the way right here. And that's what we got, guys. We got nice lean. You got great point. You guys got yourself a Texas backyard brisket on a pellet smoker. All right, we hope you enjoyed this 2-part brisket series here at Trevino's Black Glove Confidential. I'm super stoked. Honestly, this is one of the best briskets I've done in general on any type of cooking method. It took, roughly 11 hours. We got a little smoke ring, even leaving it to room temp out. I let the rub sit overnight like I normally do. It came out great. The bark was phenomenal. This meat is just so good. Like, I'm very, very happy with this. And more importantly, I'm happy that you guys have all this documented. So Birdie told me there's a sale here in Texas at Kroger. Go get yourself a choice or a prime brisket. Load it up. Let us know. Check the Amazon store. We'll put everything we used on these last 2 cooks on here. Y'all enjoy your weekend, your holiday weekend, and y'all go cook a brisket in the backyard. Put some pictures in the comments, man. I love seeing y'all's work. And also, if you've got any questions, please like and subscribe and comment on any video, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. We'll see you guys on the next one. Happy smoking.